All right, we are here at Buffalo Trace, a National Historic Landmark in Frankfort, Kentucky, on the Kentucky River. We're gonna go learn about some really unique history, 18 brands of bourbon. Let's go check it out.
Hey, Kyle.
Bob, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. Nice suit you got there. We got a dress code here, though, you know. That's a little over the top.
Whatever, you know. What's going on? In this room, they unload these and then...
Yeah, they come from the Independent Stave Company to bring their truck up over there, and they load them in here. We inspect them, see if they're okay. Some of those over there are defective ones we're going to send back, but all these pass and they're ready to go.
One of the things that I find very unique is that you all are sitting literally right on the Kentucky River over here. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
Well, you know, the Kentucky River goes from Beattyville all the way down to Carrollton. We're about 62 miles from the Ohio River at this point. So surveyors were coming down the river in 1772. Basically what they were doing is looking for a place to settle, and they found this place. The story goes is they were camping across the river up here, and buffalo came through the campsite and stowed in a couple of their canoes. Two brothers basically settled it. It was called Leestown, Virginia.
Leestown, Virginia?
Yeah, it wasn't Kentucky yet. It was Virginia. And Virginia wanted you to come in here and grow corn. If you grew corn, you could pay for your property. So people did that, and they had extra corn, so they started making liquor.
Well, that's what you do with extra corn, exactly.
Yes,
I've got a few cans in my pantry. I know they're getting old, so that's my plan. What all is produced here in Frankfort?
We make 18 different bourbons out of 3 recipes, which is kind of unusual.
18?
Yeah.
We've got a lot of work to do today.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeez.
So the recipes are mash bills. Mash bill number 1 is corn, rye, and barley. Mash bill number 2 is corn and more rye, a little spicier and barley. And mash bill number 3 is corn and wheat and barley, which is Pappy Van Winkle and W. Weller.
Oh, Pappy, I've heard of that.
So out of those, we make 18 different bourbons. And that's basically about where you put them in the warehouse. How high up you put them, it makes a big difference here. On the top of the warehouse, where it gets hot and gets done quicker, that would be benchmark and ancient age. Middle warehouse is Buffalo Trace because it changes temperature, goes in and out of the barrel a lot. The bottom warehouse is where it's cool and it's barometric pressure kind of pushing it through the barrels. That's going to be ones that are going to be there a longer time, 10, 15, 20 years. Pappy Van Winkle, W.L. Weller, Eagle Rare, our antique collection, which is ones that have the corn oil in it, Elmer T. Lee. Blanton's is in another warehouse, but we make that here. That's in the metal warehouse because it goes in and out a lot. And then we have Buffalo Trace. And they all have different flavors because if you put them in different parts of the warehouse, it gives them different flavors. So Kyle, you seem to be interested in history. Why don't we go down to where Colonel Taylor's place is? I think you'd be interested in that.
We better go check that out.
We should see it.
Let's go check that out.
Okay.
So Matt, here at Buffalo Trace, and we've stumbled upon what looks to be a fairly old part of the distillery with a bunch of holes in it. What exactly is going on here?
Well, this is what we refer to as Bourbon Pompeii. Now, there wasn't a volcano that covered this up, but about 60 years ago, this whole building was decommissioned and forgotten about. This was the original OFC distillery that E.H. Taylor had built in 1883. And what we have over here are the fermentation vats that he used during his time here to make his old fire copper bourbon.
Wow, so these holes around us were filled with liquid that we eventually drank and had fun with, and then they just covered it up and you guys stumbled upon it.
Yeah, at the point that it was covered up, this building had lived its useful life to the people that were running the distillery. So they used it for storage. We decided about 5 years ago that business is going pretty well. More people want to have events here at Distillery, so we were going to turn this into 3 stories of meeting and event space. So right in front of us here, we were digging down to do some foundation work and get ready for an elevator when we literally hit a brick wall.
You did. You did literally hit a brick wall.
At Buffalo Trace Distillery, we felt it was our duty to preserve the history that we were finding. So we turned this entire floor into an archaeological dig. We put a grid out on the concrete and we excavated 1 square at a time. we'd start with a miniature backhoe, and then as we started hitting solid surfaces, men would get down in there with buckets and literally dig it out by hand until we uncovered everything that we could find.
You've got a big copper swimming pool here. Now I
Similar.
assume it's either going to be a hot tub for your guest or you're going to put another fermented liquid of some sort in here.
We are going to ferment mash in here the E.H. Taylor way. He had what he called a 96-hour process for fermenting mash. It's basically 4 days. So by the end of this year, we'll be fermenting mash the E.H. Taylor way again, which hasn't been done in quite some time.
You just can't beat that smell.
Absolutely not. Different every day, depending on what we're cooking, what we're drying.
Every day?
Every day.
You
get a
come here and you
different
get a
smell.
wonderful smell every day. It's bourbon. On the Kentucky River, which is where we're standing now. Matt, you got this great balcony here. We got the river. I hear there's boats or something that come up here and visit you all every occasion.
Absolutely. We've been working with Canoe Kentucky for a little over 2 years now. They bring kayakers and canoers down through the lock and dam. We've got a boat ramp on the south side of our property. Sometimes they grab a lunch with us, and then we give them a nice tour and tasting, history of the distillery, and kind of tie it all in with the river.
What a great tour. Like, this has been so much fun. We got to come out, learn about Buffalo Trace. Brother, I appreciate it.